Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. The sun is sinking low over the ocean, painting the horizon in shades of gold and crimson. Palms sway with the whisper of the evening breeze, and in the distance, laughter mingles with the sound of waves. On the surface, Bachelor in Paradise might look like a story of fleeting romances under tropical skies. But what if I told you that behind the cameras, beneath the drama, lies a world of truths about human connection, second chances, and the courage to be vulnerable even when millions are watching? Today, in Bachelor in Paradise, Unplugged, we're diving into the surprising stories, the unspoken lessons, and the twists that remind us love, whether on a beach or in our own backyard, has no expiration date. Stay with me, because by the end, you may see this show in a way you never imagined. The title alone, Paradise, makes us think of perfection. Sun-soaked mornings, cocktails at sunset, endless romance. But as we peel back the layers, we discover that paradise, much like life, is never flawless. The cast arrives carrying baggage, broken hearts, fears of rejection, and the weight of past choices. And isn't that just like all of us? We too walk into new chapters of life carrying stories we don't always tell. On the beach, every glance and every confession becomes magnified. And suddenly, paradise isn't an escape, it's a mirror. A mirror that forces us to ask, what are we really searching for? Love? Forgiveness? Or simply a place to belong? What makes Bachelor in Paradise different from the flagship Bachelor seasons is the idea of second chances. Contestants return not as polished hopefuls, but as people who've known loss, rejection, and disappointment. For many of us in our 60s, that resonates deeply. We know that life isn't about perfect first chapters. It's about rewriting stories we thought were finished. Watching a contestant find love after heartbreak or dare to trust again after betrayal is a reminder that it's never too late for romance, for friendship, or for joy. In fact, some of the most touching love stories in Paradise aren't the ones that end in proposals, but the ones that show us the resilience of the human heart. Yes, the show is famous for its drama. Tears on the beach, whispered rivalries, shocking exits. And while it might be tempting to dismiss it as over the top, there's something powerful beneath it. Each conflict is a test of character. How do people handle rejection when the whole world is watching? How do they respond when jealousy rears its head? We may chuckle at the theatrics, but don't we all face these very same emotions, just without cameras rolling? The show, in its heightened form, offers lessons in patience, forgiveness, and yes, sometimes in learning when to walk away. And sometimes the most dramatic choice isn't a grand gesture, it's quiet dignity. One of the most surprising gifts of Paradise is how vulnerability becomes the true currency. Contestants arrive looking glamorous, but beneath the makeup and muscles, their fears are raw. They share stories of divorce, of feeling unlovable, of carrying scars from the past. And isn't that bravery? To say, "This is who I am, will you still accept me?" That moment, when someone lays down their defenses and dares to hope, is when the show transforms from guilty pleasure to profound storytelling. Because vulnerability, at any age, is what allows love to grow. What's beautiful about watching Paradise with fresh eyes is realizing that the most important stories are often unscripted. A kind gesture between rivals, a friendship that blossoms stronger than any romance, a contestant choosing to leave, not in defeat, but in self-respect. These quiet moments remind us that life isn't only about the highlight reels, it's about the in-between. The pauses, the choices, the courage to step away from what doesn't serve us. These lessons, tucked between the chaos, are the ones worth carrying into our own lives. So, why does Bachelor in Paradise captivate us season after season? It isn't just the roses or the proposals. It's because deep down, we see ourselves in the people on that beach. We may not be sipping margaritas under the Mexican sun, but we know the sting of heartbreak, the thrill of new beginnings, and the quiet hope that love might still surprise us. The show becomes less about spectacle and more about a universal truth, that connection, whether romantic, platonic, or simply human, is the heartbeat of life. So tonight, as the waves crash in the background of paradise and another love story begins or ends, we're reminded of something profound. Love isn't reserved for the young, the glamorous, or the lucky. Love is for anyone willing to take a risk. It's for those brave enough to try again, to open their hearts after loss, to see paradise not as a destination, but as a state of courage. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real secret of Bachelor in Paradise Unplugged. It's not about the drama. It's about us, our longing, our resilience, our endless belief in the power of love. If this story has made you see paradise in a new light, stay with me, because the truth is, every rose handed out on that beach is really a symbol of something greater, the chance to believe again. And isn't that what we all want, no matter where we are in life?
The sun dipping low over a Mexican shoreline, the waves carrying whispers of secrets untold, and a group of hopeful hearts stepping barefoot into paradise. Or at least what looks like paradise on television. But what if I told you that behind the glittering sunsets, behind the carefully arranged rose ceremonies, and behind the laughter echoing down the beach, lies a story most of us never hear? Welcome to Bachelor in Paradise Unplugged, the story not of picture-perfect reality TV moments, but of what happens when the cameras stop rolling, when the masks come off, and when love is tested in its most vulnerable, human form. Stay with me, because the truths we uncover tonight will change the way you see reality television forever. We all grow up with ideas of paradise. For some, it's a white picket fence. For others, it's retirement in a sunlit town, grandchildren running across a green lawn. But for the men and women of Bachelor in Paradise, paradise is a television set. Sand imported, cocktails curated, and every glance magnified by a dozen cameras. It's a dream wrapped in lights and microphones. Yet, here's the question. What happens when the dream starts to feel more like a stage play than a sanctuary? The surprising truth is, paradise isn't always about love. Sometimes it's about survival. And the first test is realizing that. As the first sunset falls over the beach, contestants walk down those iconic steps, smiles shining as though scripted. They carry not just hopes of love, but also the heavy weight of doubt. Will I be chosen? Will I be remembered? Or worse, will I be forgotten in the blur of a highlight reel? You can almost hear their inner monologues with every slow-motion shot. For those of us watching at home, it looks glamorous. For those living it, it's the edge of vulnerability, because no one wants to be the first to go home. And just like that, paradise becomes less about cocktails by the pool and more about proving one's worth. Here's a surprising truth. Contestants often say the cameras stop existing after a while. But what really happens is more profound. The cameras become mirrors. Every smile, every hesitation, every conflict is amplified. Contestants begin to see themselves, their insecurities, their habits, their strengths, reflected back. Imagine living in a world where every doubt you whisper is caught by a microphone,
where every sideways glance becomes a storyline. And yet, within this pressure cooker, authenticity begins to seep through. The masks slip, and in those rare unscripted moments, real love has a chance to spark. Here's where the cliffhanger deepens. Is Love in Paradise truly about connection, or is it about strategy? Think about it. Roses aren't just flowers here, they're tickets to survival. To stay another week, someone has to choose you. Suddenly, affection becomes bargaining. That smile across the bonfire might be genuine, or it might be a carefully calculated move. And yet, amid the alliances and whispered promises, something astonishing happens. Sometimes the heart refuses to play the game. It chooses on its own, even when strategy says otherwise. And when that happens, we, the viewers, lean in closer. But let's pause here, because what most of us don't see are the battles happening quietly, behind the curtain. The exhaustion from endless filming hours. The sting of rejection not just once, but in front of millions. The quiet tears at 3 a.m. when the beach is silent, but the heart is not. Many contestants enter thinking they're strong enough, only to discover that vulnerability is the real cost of entry. And here's the twist. It's often in those moments of struggle, not triumph, that true bonds form, because nothing builds connection quite like shared pain. Love stories dominate the headlines, but ask anyone who's been there, friendships may be the most lasting prize. When the cocktails are finished and the cameras pack up, it's often the friendships that endure. The women who whispered encouragement when the rose was given to someone else, the men who offered advice before a risky proposal. In a world built to showcase romance, the deeper surprise is how powerful platonic bonds become, because paradise isn't just about couples. It's about the tribe that forms when strangers become allies in a strange new world. Every season has that moment, a choice at the rose ceremony that shocks, delights, or devastates. For the contestants, it's more than just television. It's the pivot point of their journey. One rose can mean another week of hope. Another rejection can mean the end of the dream. But here's the deeper truth. Each decision also forces contestants to ask themselves what they're really searching for. Is it fame, validation, or that rare spark of love that outlives the cameras? And in that question lies the heart of Bachelor in Paradise. Paradise sells us fairy tales, perfect kisses under moonlit skies, confessions whispered by the waves. But reality has a way of intruding. Not every couple lasts past the final credits. In fact, many don't. The real world, with its jobs, distance, and responsibilities, tests love in ways no beachside cocktail ever could. But here's the inspiration. When love does survive, it's stronger than steel, because if it can survive cameras, critics, and constant scrutiny, it can survive anything. And those are the stories worth holding on to. Now here's something many forget. We, the viewers, are part of the story too. Our cheers, our critiques, our tweets, they shape the legacy of these contestants. For older generations who watch, perhaps with grandkids explaining social media slang, the show becomes more than entertainment. It becomes a reflection of universal truths: longing, jealousy, hope, forgiveness. Because whether you're 25 or 65, the desire for connection doesn't fade. We see ourselves, our younger selves, our wiser selves, mirrored in these journeys. So, what is paradise really? After stripping away the lights, the editing, and the expectations, paradise reveals itself not as a place, but as a state of being. Paradise is vulnerability. Paradise is courage. Paradise is choosing to hope even after heartbreak. For contestants, paradise ends when the cameras cut, but for us, the lesson endures. It reminds us that love, in all its messy, surprising, breathtaking forms, is always worth chasing. And maybe, just maybe, paradise isn't found on a beach in Mexico. Maybe it's found in the small, everyday acts of choosing love again and again, wherever we are. And so we closed Bachelor in Paradise Unplugged with one final question. If you were given just one rose to hand out, one chance to choose love, friendship, or self-discovery, who or what would you give it to? The answer, my friends, is the secret to your own paradise. And that, perhaps, is the most surprising twist of all. Stay tuned, because the story isn't over. Paradise always returns, and with it, the reminder that love is never scripted and the most powerful moments are the ones we least expect.